Received that.
Roger, you're loud and clear, and anything else to report?
No, we're going to make another approach. We're going to make an approach, go into the clouds about where we think the vehicle would and see whether they can see the ground and report that, and that'll be it.
Okay, real good. And have you encountered any turbulence at all?
It's a slight turbulence up here at 430.
Okay.
Top, but it's not very much. I don't think the orbiter would notice it.
Roger.
Going to take down a network line here for 20 seconds. We'll be back up with you after that. All righty.
Okay, star 45 and 21, angular error 0.01. Delta X's were plus 0.09er, minus 0.05, plus 0.07. Delta Y was minus 0.04, plus 0.01, minus 0.19er. Delta Z minus 0.15, plus 0.11, minus 0.23. We executed at 04074230, over.
Roger, we have all your P52 numbers now. Now we know that one of them wasn't 5 balls.
Say again?
Roger, we noticed one of those didn't have 5 balls on it.
Did you get the parking angles on both of the pieces?
Roger, yeah, we got them.
Alpha 324 is currently in testing awaiting its release to hungry players like you. And while ISC is moving onward to covering the ongoing development of the upcoming Alpha 4.0 after that, we thought we'd take one last chance to check in with the cargo guru himself, Chad McKinney, and get one last look at how personal persistent hangars, freight elevators, and cargo loading is working. This is Inside Star Citizen, Alpha 324, Hangars and Freight. Let's go.
The first thing, obviously, you spawn into the hub. You can go out into the main section down at the bottom, depending on the station that you're in, meet up with your friends, make sure you're in a party together. At that point, you have lots of options available to you. You can either go to an item bank if you want to grab some smaller items, which there are numerous throughout the station, including actually in the hub that you're just in. The item bank is used to allow players to get smaller items, mainly like FPS style items, without having to go all the way down to a hangar to use the freight elevator kiosk to pull it up from the freight elevator. That's especially useful for things like handguns or undersuits and armor, metapins, food, stuff that you just want to quickly get on your person, and you don't have to wait for like a huge platform to come up in order to grab it. The inventory that the item bank accesses is the same location inventory that the freight elevator accesses. So in fact, you can do things like put something into your location inventory via the item bank, and then later on decide you want to get it back while you're in your hangar. And you can do that via the freight elevator kiosk or any of the other item banks that are in the hangars.
And while you and your group members are certainly welcome in your new personal persistent hangar, questions still abound about what happens when an unwelcome guest sneaks in.
If someone gets into your hangar, there is a trespassing timer that will start ticking. After like 30 seconds or so, they're going to get automatically kicked out. In addition, we have changed the rules in the hangar to make it allow the same kind of like non-armistice zone behavior that the ships do. So we are modifying it to where you can shoot people that even trespass inside your hangar and not get an infraction for it. At your home location, it will be your personal hangar, but if you go to a different place in the verse, then that hangar that's given to you is what we call a public hangar, but you're still the person that like has authority over it. So while you do, you have the same kind of rights.
In many ways, these new hangars are your first home ownership in the verse, with not only the ability to defend yourself against intruders without getting a crime stat, but also your first abilities to customize and decorate your space as you see fit.
The personal hangars are kind of the first real ownership in the world for the players. We've had ownership with the ships, which is great. You've been able to keep things inside them for some time now and, you know, kind of customize it that way. But this is the first kind of like home, the first place in the world that actually is yours. And it's allow you to store furniture, you can store boxes, cargo, if you want to stockpile and be kind of clever with trading. Anything that, you know, any flair, anything that you want that will help make it feel like home. But it's not the end. We have lots of plans for the future. You know, you've seen things with all the base building updates, and also we've talked in the past about things like persistent habs, etc. So there's more that's going to be coming along this vein, but the personal habs are the first big step of ownership in the world for players.
With armistice zones now removed from hangars, Persistence allows players to now set their most used items out for easy access before any launch. You can display your firearms, ship items, and more however you'd like. And in future releases beyond Alpha 3.24, this will include display cases for armor as well.
Basically, almost anything in your inventory you'll be able to pull up via either the item bank or the freight elevator, and then you can directly leave them around in your hangar. Now, you do have to be careful about, like, if you want to call up a ship, leaving things on the platform may block it, so that could cause issues. However, we did expand the size of the hangars in order to give you more space in there to do exactly this. So we want to make it both easier experience to get in and out of some of these hangars, as well as give you more space in order to decorate it and make it feel like your own place. In addition to all that, another change that we've made is we've reclassified many ships in the game that were previously attributed to small hangars, now to the medium-sized hangars, so that they are a more comfortable fit as far as landing. And then in addition to that, also to make it more reasonable for maybe the amount of cargo or the items that you're moving in.
The physicalizing of most items and the addition of freight elevators and new kiosks in Alpha 3.24 to work with them not only in your hangar but at mission locations throughout the verse means a fundamental shift in the manner and time it takes to load and offload your ship or vehicle.
For both manual and automatic loading, you're going to be doing something at the moment that's going to be some kind of commodity transfer. Whenever you go to the commodity terminal to do a transaction, you're presented with two different options. You can either deliver directly into your location inventory or pick a ship from a list that's at that location and have it automatically packed into that ship for you. If you decide to deliver it into the location inventory, you'll buy it. There's no restriction on what you buy. It'll just go directly into it. As long as you have capacity in the inventory and the money to pay for it, you can do it. At that point, it's up to you if you've bought it to get it onto your ship or to move it to wherever, or just sit on it. So you can just like hang out, wait until the prices look good, and then later on decide to move it to a different location. From there, if you decided to manually load it, you can load it onto the ship, call ATC, go to a different location in the game, land at a different location, go into the spaceport, and then access the same commodity terminal there, look at the prices, and make a determination about whether you want to sell anything on your ship. At that point, you can make what we call like a sell order. And this is basically like a declaration, kind of like a contract that says like, I will deliver these goods and you will give me this payment for it. When you've done that, at that point, you can go back to your hangar, move the goods off of the ship onto the freight elevator platform, use the freight elevator kiosk to put it down into the location inventory. You get a little screen that pops up that tells you, here's the sell order that you had, here's the price that we agreed to, you've now delivered everything, check, and then you get the payment that's delivered. And the reason why we do that is actually to remove a round trip. So this gives a way for players to kind of like skip a step in the flow and help make things a little bit more smooth. On the flip side, if you just want to deliver it into your location inventory at the new location, you can do it like that as well. And then once you're inside the spaceport, sell it from the location inventory instead, or just sit on it until another point in time. On the automatic side, whenever you go to buy the goods, the ship needs to be stowed at that location. At that point, the ship will be locked down, so you can't call it to fly it off while the loading's in process. You also have to pay a little bit more in order to fund the movement by the local services in order to actually move the cargo onto your ship for you. Once the timer has run out, you go down to the ASOP terminal. You can spawn your ship or retrieve the ship from the ASOP terminal, get in the ship. All the boxes should be there. You can fly off to another place and then do the inverse at a different location. The other thing is that you can mix and match these. So you can decide to manually load the boxes from your location inventory onto your ship, but then automatically unload them or vice versa. It's really up to you about how you want to do it. Like maybe you decide that you don't mind unpacking it because maybe it's a little bit easier once everything's already in there. Or you can decide that for certain sizes of shipments, like for a few small boxes, you don't mind moving it, but maybe for like a really big load in a C2 where there's like a lot of things going on, you'd rather just kind of, use the automatic loading service. Now, what we went out with before wasn't really our intended behavior, because what was missing was some granularity in the loading time determination based on the box size. It was always the plan, we just weren't able to get to it yet. So I know that there was some feedback that some of the loading times seemed to not make sense. This is the reason. The reason is that we didn't have the granularity in the system to scale the loading times based on the box size. And what that really means is that for smaller boxes per SEU, you're going to spend more time on smaller boxes. So if you have, let's say, a ship and you fill it up with 600 SEU, if those are like 1 SEU boxes, that's going to take a long time because that's a lot of boxes to move. But if we're talking 32 SEU boxes, that's a much more efficient moving pattern that has to be done by the loading services. So that's going to be quicker to load. And that'll help us tune the system to make sure that we're not overly punishing people with these incredible loading times. But we still want it to, be a reasonable amount of time for the higher loads for us to be able to tune the economy in a reasonable way. And also to make sure that manual loading is something that there is an incentive to do.
Of course, with these new kiosks and new ways to access your inventory, for those of you who have been building your possessions year after year, one question was destined to rise above all others.
Search is another one of these things that we always wanted to do. Now that we've been longer in development, trying to close out and finish off some of the bigger bugs, which has mainly been hangar instancing related. We've also taken the opportunity to work on the quality of life improvement that we wanted to get in particular, which is search functionality in the freight elevator kiosk and the item bank. Now, this is going to be the first step. Where we're starting is it's going to be a name-based search on the items, but it won't, for example, search on description names or like color, things like that. And it will be a fuzzy search, which means that you will be able to search for substrings of names. So you can, for example, have helmet, and that'll actually pick up a lot of different items which actually have the word helmet in the name. Or you can look up helm, and still get most of those same or all the same results, but maybe a few other things which also include that. So I'm really excited about it. This is something that I remember talking about implementing search forever ago when we first originally introduced the inventory and then also the player asset manager knickknacks. It's something that we needed back-end support for to do properly in order for it to not overburden the back-end. But we actually got support from the back-end team, which did a great job getting this in for us. So I think this will be a really good feature for the players, and hopefully that makes them feel a little bit better about waiting a little bit longer on the patch.
All in all, the upcoming changes to cargo and the combination of physicalized inventory with personal persistent hangars means the upcoming Alpha 324 is the next major step forward towards players owning a place in the verse and configuring it however they'd like. And what else did we learn this week? The armistice zones are being removed from player hangars, which will finally let you load up those gun racks on your ships. That the law system will let you stand your ground when someone invariably tries to sneak in and steal all of your stuff. And that storage access kiosks are for long-term storage. And that decorating your hangar with all of your items is the next step in eventually letting you grab your kit and go without the need for those inventory screens at all. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the people and process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week.
Hi everyone. My name is Kaan Chakut. I'm the lead level designer for the PU. I will give you an introduction to our locations when it comes to the design, a high-level overview of the design of our locations. I'm going to describe you the processes of our workflow and the goals that we aim to achieve. So, to break down our process a bit, this is very high level, but it starts out with a pre-production phase, an ideation phase. Here everything starts out in the mind. We bring it down to paper, sketch, write, formulate a plan based on our overall design goals. And then it moves on to the blocking stage. You might have heard of this, like the white box and gray box phase. This essentially contains all of the gameplay that you would see in the final product. Basically, the way it's meant to be played, and we test this out with a lot of iteration and, yeah, a lot of testing. And it's basically, the white box is not in a stage where it's presentable, but that comes now. So on the right, as you see, the food court that Adam is going to be showing you later. Yeah, this is the final product, VFX, lighting, and everybody had their pass on this. And level design or other designers still maintains the space and makes sure that the systems that get created are being retroactively implemented. All right, so one key aspect of game development in general is the balance of narrative, visuals, and gameplay. So all these interplay, they interconnect, and it's the foundation that runs through all game environments. So it's important to communicate context, and here in this drawover you see that narratively we see sort of a dangerous environment. The spiky shapes here are sort of threatening. We see defensive structures, we can expect some enemy NPCs here, but it's also an old village. Maybe there's some exploration, some loot to be found. And then what's also important is communicating goals. So goals can be the pathways that you take, the gateways that bring you from one step to another, and so on. Okay, whoops. Yep. There we go. Okay, since we're a sandbox game, accommodating play styles is pretty important. So play styles meaning going guns in blazing, shooting at everything and everybody, going more of a stealthy, infiltration-y pathway if you wanted to, but also all the social aspects that you know from Stanton. And to do this, we establish, so one of the core design philosophies is granting the player the freedom of choice to do what they want to do at any point throughout their experience. And we do this by establishing or defining multiple pathways or archetypes that we call primary, secondary, and tertiary pathing. So the first one is pretty straightforward. In a social setting, you have the goal right in front of you, and it's a single goal, such as here in the Habs. In a combat setting, this is very exposed, so it's dangerous to traverse this route. Where it gets more complex is when you have, such as with this outpost here, when you have multiple goals that can be equally important to the player at any given point. This is where we need to have a bit more design put into it with, for example, the landmarks that serve as orientation points. So to help you orientate yourself wherever you are in this location. And leading you to these locations by utilizing shape language and composition. The second path is, these are secondary pathways, so these are alternative routes. And these are options that are offered to you as you traverse the area on the primary path, for example. And so you may know this as a tourist when you go to a new city and you look around the corner and you see an alleyway that sort of looks nice and it evokes your curiosity and you want to investigate. In a combat setting, these are covered approaches or opportunities for you to flank the enemy to get to your goal, which could be this building on that sketch. Yeah. Versus more open spaces, when you have in a combat setting, in open spaces, you tend to be a bit more stationary because you want to feel more secure, unless you're in a vehicle. The third path is tertiary pathing. So these are more hidden infiltration routes, especially discoverable throughout the rundown stations that Anna will be presenting later on. And these are mostly discoverable to the attentive eye. You can explore these, find loot, or different routes to traverse through the station. Environment interactivity. You might have seen this in a previous presentation. It's very important to ground the player to their environment, offering them ways of interaction, being able to change the state of rooms, to toy with the AI, or just simply being able to unblock your pathway. Where it gets a bit more complex is when you talk about resource network systems, such as in day one when Torsten mentioned that we're planning to implement this as well in locations. And this will allow the player to engage with their environment in different ways. They will be able to power up or down entities such as turrets, gates, and doors, and also alter life support systems. And also this ties into security systems. So being able to power up or down certain sections of a security system. And security systems in turn will be dependent on security tokens that you will be able to grab from other NPCs in your environment to then gain access to other terminals, to security terminals or other areas.
E aí, pessoal? Estou entrando aqui, bom dia a todos. Me sigam aí no TikTok para eu poder fazer lives. Acho que tem que ter 1000 seguidores, né? E estou no Linktree/Léo Posso. Tá aí, toda hora tá aparecendo aí na parte do texto ali embaixo, né? Linktree/Léo Posso. LNKTR.EE Europa @ Léo Lima Cosca Golf Oscar, Sierra. Vamos lá. Faz uma semana que eu não entro aqui, então o pessoal está preparando aí pro ponto 24, que vai ter container, vai ter hangar, vai ter um monte de coisa aí diferente, então vamos ver. Tá aqui, estão escutando, ok. Áudio, o Discord não está aberto, o áudio tá, eu deixei baixo mesmo aqui. Eu tenho colocado só vídeos de apresentação tanto quando eu faço de rádio amador como do Star Citizen, para todo mundo ver como que funciona, né? O rádio amador, como os nossos amigos fazem os laboratórios e constrói coisas, e aqui particularmente um modelo do jogo, né? O Star Citizen é um jogo bem interessante. É um jogo que já vem há bastante tempo, mais de 10 anos, mas o cara é um aficionado de Guerra nas Estrelas, de espaço, então ele formou uma equipe muito, muito boa. Então não é aquele negócio meio que te enjoa, ou então o negócio não funciona bem, e aí dá uma sensação de lag. Não, aqui o negócio é tudo, apesar de uma versão beta, né, o alpha, e é onde você dorme. Essa parte está offline, mas já vai estar online, onde você vai ter acesso ao teu hangar. Ele originalmente não tem outro idioma sem ser o inglês, mas você tem no GitHub um grupo que está traduzindo, aí você coloca numa pasta, aí fica... Aqui é, como eu sempre falo, é um Blade Runner, caçador de androides, sabe? Exatamente o mesmo ambiente. Então, vou voltar a tomar uma aguinha. Ué, eu não gostei de nada, não. Ah. Vamos ver o cachorro quentinho. Aumento meio corpo aqui, ó. Eu acho que eles vão consertar isso, botar uma lata de lixo. Ai, será que eu vou pegar eles? Ah, consegui. Vamos lá pro Spaceport. Olha que barato aqui, ó. Ainda não recebi a versão de teste. Eu pago todo mês um subscribe ali, né? Eu tenho como acessar antes. Como se fosse uma versão release.
Working together to keep our corps safe and secure. Be vigilant and report possible threats every time.
Alguma coisa aqui? Não, não.
Obey all security and customs personnel at all times. Their job is your safety.
Welcome to the ASOP Vehicle Retrieval System. Vehicle selected. Your vehicle has been delivered to the fault. Please visit us again. Goodbye.
Your personal belongings are your personal responsibility. Monitor your luggage at all times.
Vou fazer algumas recuperar algumas naves ou fazer uma raspagem. Olha o tamanho do... Deixa eu... Pode ir. Vou subir aqui. Vamos ver.
Not sure.